wanted to call the book Partly Cloudy, but I wanted to be optimistic because I think living a life of mostly sunny can help you get through the most challenging moments.
Janice Dean, the weather machine, is known for her mostly sunny attitude. She always shows up to report the weather at Fox News with a pleasant smile. The key is mostly sunny. She isn't afraid to discuss darker, more serious issues when necessary. A family tragedy encouraged her to use her platform to speak out against a corrupt politician. She's also been fighting a silent battle many don't know about. Keep watching to learn why what's happening to Janice Dean is just plain sad. Janice becomes a Cuomo critic. Janice isn't a political commentator. She's the senior meteorologist for Fox, but that hasn't stopped her from voicing her opinions when she felt it necessary. She was spurred by the recent loss of her in-laws Michael and Dolores Newman. They were the parents of her husband Sean, known to family and friends as Mickey and Dee. Mickey was a former firefighter. He was in the Grandel Rehabilitation and Nursing Center in Brooklyn. Dee was at the Long Island Living Center. The plan was for them to come together when their health improved. Mickey died on March 29th. Sean got a call from Dee saying she wasn't feeling well, and she died April 11th. The family was aghast to discover that former New York Mayor Andrew Cuomo had set up a directive on March 25th that nursing homes couldn't deny admission because patients had COVID. The policy expanded to cover assisted living on April 7th, but the order was rescinded in May. The belief is they most likely got the disease from a visitor or staff member because it's rare for it to become deadly within 4 days. But the truth isn't clear. Janice's sister-in-law Donna admits, "We don't know the story. You try to ask, nobody really answers you." Stories say that's partially because Andrew and his staff had gone to great lengths to conceal the actual number of COVID-19 deaths in New York nursing homes. Records from the Associated Press say around 9,056 recovering COVID-19 patients were released from hospitals into care homes in 2020 alone, but the numbers could be higher. Janice didn't want to speak out at first, but then she saw the Cuomo brothers' tone-deaf cotton swab skit. Then she heard about Andrew's recent sexual assault allegations. She said she texted with several of the women who accused him. Janice blames the death of her in-laws and the deaths of thousands of others on Andrew. His policy transferred many COVID-19 patients to nursing homes who were ill-equipped to care for them. Janice wrote an impassioned article explaining why she supports legislation to prevent this from happening again. The Cuomo brothers reportedly tried to keep her quiet. She said,
I mean, I never saw these texts, but people told me they saw them. It was him going back and forth between the governor and the administration, like, what are we going to do with this weather bitch? That was Chris Cuomo, apparently. And then his administration coming out and saying, well, she's not a reliable source on anything except maybe the weather. So they were kind of trying to silence me by demeaning what I do as a profession. And all that did for me is just want me to talk more.
When she heard of his resignation via text message, she responded, "OMG, it's happening. He is out. God bless America." She went on several appearances to tell her opinion. She said on Fox News in 2024 she wanted investigations into his behavior to continue. Janice is using her platform to keep the issue alive. She's told her story to every host who will listen, including Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Martha McCallum, and Harris Faulkner. Can Janice Dean become a politician? Her friend and former co-host on The View says she, quote, hates when people are being screwed with and has always fought for the little guy. Friends have even been encouraging her to run for office.
There was a time where people were trying to rally you to run. Do you think that you might have a political future?
I will let you know if that ever happens.
I will be your biggest cheerleader. I will be your communications director.
Will you be my running mate?
I will be, hells no. But I will be your smoothie getter. I will print out talking points and I will force people to be sunny on your behalf, Jan.
Journalism and politics are typically meant to be kept separate, as Kathleen Bartzine-Culver, journalism ethics director at the University of Wisconsin, notes. A spokeswoman for Fox said that Janice isn't a reporter and is only trying to talk about an issue that affected her family. Janice says her bosses at Fox are fully supportive. She says, quote, obviously it's a position that is probably a little uncomfortable for them because I'm the meteorologist and all of a sudden I'm into this role of being an advocate. But at the end of the day, my family was affected, and I feel like this is an important role to play if there are not people who have a voice in this. She isn't seriously considering being on the campaign trail right now. All she wants is to consider speaking out against the issues affecting her family. Getting a dangerous diagnosis. Janice Dean has been nicknamed the Weather Machine and Weather Queen by her colleagues at Fox News. She's never afraid to cover a storm or a local event with a smile. It seemed like nothing could stop her, but one day something came along that might be able to. Janice was working long hours covering Hurricane Dennis, Emily, Katrina, Rita, and Wilma. She was overwhelmed with fatigue, numbness in her thighs, and a loss of sensation in the soles of her feet. She thought she might just be overworking herself at first. The problem was she still felt the concerning symptoms even after the busy hurricane season was over. She went to see her doctor, and they didn't have a definitive answer. They thought it could be anything from a slipped disc to MS, or multiple sclerosis. They referred her to a neurologist. After an exam, an MRI, and a spinal tap, they discovered it was indeed MS. Janice is only one of 500,000 people in the U.S. with the condition. It's most common in those between 20 and 50, and 3 times more likely in women. She's been living with it for nearly 20 years now. MS is a condition of the brain and nervous system. The immune system attacks the nerve lining, called myelin, leaving behind lesions on the brain and spine. Symptoms include numbness or tingling in the limbs, fatigue, lack of coordination, blurry vision, and unsteady gait. There's no cure, but wheelchairs, leg braces, medications, and DMTs, or disease-modifying therapies, can help. The condition obviously makes live broadcasts difficult. She admits, quote, "I'm smiling on Fox and Friends, but inside it can be quite a challenge." She calls it the invisible illness because you can look like you're not suffering even when you are. One thing that helps her is that she has RRMS, or relapsing remitting MS. That means she does get periods of recovery, but then faces relapses when symptoms return. It's common in 80% of early diagnosis. How she's dealing with the diagnosis. Janice went public with the diagnosis in 2017. She hesitated, saying,
A lot of people actually told me, don't tell your employer that you were diagnosed with this because it actually your career might go downhill. And I just wanted to be a reminder that that potentially isn't possible.
Janice also found a mentor to help her manage the condition and her career. Neil Cavuto, the senior vice president, anchor, and managing editor at Fox News. He was diagnosed with MS in 1997. As she said, quote, "When I told Neil that I had MS, he calmed me down and promised I would be okay," Dean says. "He reminded me that I was working at a great company that would support us, and he also told me that every person's experience with MS is unique, and having MS today is different than it was in the past." He also admitted he was originally worried about his diagnosis, but dealt with it by learning everything he could about the condition. He was also hopeful to know that his symptoms could be managed with medication and a diet and exercise program. He went public about his condition and got the full support of Roger Ailes, president of Fox. He was also told that if the worst-case scenario happened and he needed a wheelchair, they'd build ramps on the set to accommodate him. Janice decided to follow in his footsteps. She looked for the right doctor and got encouragement from other public figures with MS, such as Montel Williams, Terry Garr, and Richard Cohen. Her condition also didn't keep her from achieving her dreams. She married her longtime boyfriend Sean in 2007. Pregnancy can even relieve symptoms, and the condition has a less than 2% chance of being passed down through genes. She had a son named Matthew in 2009 and another named Theodore in 2011. She said, "I had such wonderful pregnancies, and I temporarily forgot that I even had MS. I truly believe my boys saved my life and gave me purpose. Before I had them, I thought my career would be the biggest source of joy in my life, but I was wrong. My sons give me stability and peace and never fail to make me feel good." Janice was able to stop taking injections after her son was born. She's glad about it because they gave her unpleasant side effects. She's focused now on lifestyle changes. She eats high-fiber, low-fat meals and avoids red meat and high salt. She also takes vitamin D supplements and gets plenty of exercise and sleep. The weather machine now realizes she can't do everything herself. She's more comfortable than ever, asking her husband or friends for small favors, such as dropping her son off. She even managed to take on a second career. She's written 2 children's books, Freddy the Frogcaster and Freddy the Frogcast and the Big Blizzard. She's working on the 3rd one now. Now it's time to hear from you. What inspires you about her story? Let us know in the comments section below.